Good evening, and thanks for tuning in to Double Trouble on CTV Sports. I'm Grace Reeder.
And I'm Rachel Viejo.
We're a little bit warmer today than we were on Saturday after a blizzardy border war game. The Rams took an early lead, finding success in the run game and most notably Dalen Dawkins. As the weather got worse, so did the Rams. CSU failed to shut down Josh Allen on several key plays in the second half and had several questionable offensive calls. In the final minutes, down by 3, CSU was forced to punt and never got the ball back as Wyoming ran the clock. Rachel, between hot chocolates and drying off, we chatted about this game, but now that your socks are dry, what's your take looking back?
Dalen Dawkins is a beast.
Yes, absolutely.
He did wonderful against Wyoming, but I think he's going to have a really hard time this upcoming weekend against Boise because Boise has the number 8th rush defense in the nation.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that they're going to have a difficult time against Boise. In this Wyoming game, I did not see a lot that I liked from the offense. They gained 345 yards in terrible conditions, which right now you can't tell in these highlights, but just wait a second and the snow will start rolling in. And they only had 1 touchdown off of that many yards. The Rams could not convert. They controlled the clock all the way through, but just couldn't finish. Nick Stevens had 8 of 14 passes and failed to throw a touchdown pass for the first time in 8 games. And that touchdown would have meant a lot for him because he would have tied Garrett Grayson for CSU career high touchdown passes. And now we can see excuse me, that snow got me sick. But as we can see in these highlights, the conditions were not good, so both teams took to the run game, but Wyoming was just simply more effective.
They were, and I think it came down to our defense, too. We really were not able to stop them.
Absolutely.
Josh Allen just ran over our defense. But I think we are going to have some troubles this weekend against Boise. Boise is the winningest. Like, that is just a hard word to say for sure. But
winningest.
I know, winningest. Football program in the nation since 2000, and CSU has never beat Boise. Granted, they've only been in the Mountain West for a few years, but they're still 6-0 against them.
Hey, you know, 6 wins is still enough to say that you deserve to be at the top of the Mountain West. That game is not going to be any warmer, I don't think, than the Wyoming game. Maybe less snow.
A little bit drier.
Yeah.
We won't be catching snowflakes like Tim
like
is
Tim
here. It is something else right there. But I think our stand-up showed pretty well how cold it was and how hard it was for the snow. But it was definitely rough to take a look at this one.
It's windy here. It's supposed to be pretty cold. You can't tell, but there's a storm rolling in here. Oh, maybe now you can tell. Maybe you can tell. Ram fans would have left at the first quarter because it is cold. It is very cold. A blizzard rolled in a little bit around halftime, maybe the second quarter.
News, stay warm.
And Mike Bobo had some words to say about how the game went and about Boise this upcoming weekend, and he was a little bit warmer than we were.
We don't control our destiny anymore as a football team. You know, we were in control of our destiny. We are not in control of our destiny because we lost 2 games in a row. You know, 2 teams beat us, and now, you know, what we control is how we get ready for this game and this opportunity.
We're just glad that our hair doesn't look like it did by the end of the Wyoming game. Yeah, it was. It was not good. Not to mention how wet our socks were. But hey, it's beginning to look a lot like Mountain West football. Don't go anywhere because when we come back, we'll talk volleyball and basketball.
Yes, ma'am.
They said I couldn't dream. Called me a piece of trash and swore that's all I'd ever be. Said a bottle couldn't see the ocean. Give up. Go back to the dumpster. But I didn't listen. I made my way. And now, I am what I've always wanted to be.
Welcome back from the break. If you're just tuning in, first, thank you. And second, you're watching Double Trouble on CTV Sports.
Well, Rachel, it is that time of year. Basketball season is finally upon us. Let's start with the men's team. They had an exhibition game on Friday and then had a charity game on Sunday. What did you see from them?
Okay, first, Chibab,
Yep.
beast.
Absolutely.
He has 25 points in yesterday's match against UNC.
Yep.
But I think he's going to be really good, and I think he's showing a lot of potential. He wasn't able to play last year because of grade eligibility, which was unfortunate, but I think he's definitely showing true potential. Nico Carvacho had 16 rebounds, so he's showing he's going to be the big man, but I don't think Prentice Nixon has fully hit his rhythm yet where he wants to be, and I think that'll just take a little bit of time, and then he was the big hype man in the off-season, so it'll be interesting to see where
in the
he shows
off-season, that's who we were talking about, so I was a little bit surprised. However, I think what CSU did prove is that they've got some players. They've got some people who can play. Raquan Mitchell played 20 minutes. I liked what I saw from him. J.D. Page had 18 points, and like you said, Che Bob, I was super impressed by him. He's incredible. I think he's going to be someone we're going to be talking about all season for sure.
Oh, and you brought up Raquan Mitchell.
Yep.
The dude swiped a ball out of somebody's hand and then went back and dunked it. And it was huge. The crowd went wild. I feel like that's the kind of energy we need for these basketball games.
Absolutely. Well, the women also had a game, and they played on Wednesday. What did you see from that one?
I think that they're a very young team, and I think it's going to take a little bit of time. Ellie and Ellen left to go play overseas, which is very exciting for their professional careers, and we're happy for them. But it does leave our team without two of our main starters from last year. And we have a very tough schedule this year, playing BYU, Oklahoma. I think it's going to be a rough year for the Rams.
You know, I agree with you. Losing those seniors is going to be difficult, but I say that every year about the CSU women's basketball team, and then they always find a way to be at the top of the Mountain West. I really liked what I saw from Hannah Taverdi. She had 10 points. She was playing really aggressive basketball. I think she's going to be a leader on this year's team, someone coming from last season who played with Ellie and Ellen. I watched her grab a ball from someone on the ground. She was just fighting away on the ground, and I was like, all right, I like this. We're playing some aggressive football. Yeah, I like it.
That's what we need. I feel like people don't go to a lot of women's games because it's not aggressive, and I feel like once you add that, that helps a ton. And Hannah's a beast, too.
Yeah, she was making it happen.
And the CSU women's volleyball team is also clinching the Mountain West this weekend with a sweep over Utah State and Boise State. Utah State didn't put up much of a fight as the Rams offense was playing quick and making connections. Boise put up a fight early. The first set looked close, and the Rams only winning by the necessary 2. Per usual, though, the Rams progressively dominated as the match continued, handing the Broncos a heavy loss in the third set and finishing the match off with a sweep. Grace, we were on our way to Wyoming for the football game, so we were unable to attend that one, although we did listen on the radio.
We did.
But thankfully, we have our incredible volleyball reporters with us here. So how about you guys give us a lowdown? Zach, let's start with you.
Yeah, the Utah State win was a pretty big win heading into the weekend. Moves us to 24-2 overall, 11-0 in conference play, excuse me. But yeah, the chemistry right now with CSU's women's volleyball team is great. You have 3 players over 10 kills per game. 45 assists from Katie Olesic, which and 38 assists against Boise. So that named her Mountain West Conference Offensive Player of the Week, and you know, they're really meshing right now, and I think it's great. Yeah,
Katie Olesic was just played absolutely. She's incredible.
She's incredible.
Absolutely, she is one of the biggest keys to the Rams' offense, keeping it going. And then Boise. They clinched the Mountain West. What did you see from that one?
We clinched the Mountain West. We're currently playing Utah State, we clinched the Mountain West against Boise. It was the 14th Mountain West regular season championship for us.
Yeah.
Huge.
And Boise won last year, so it was kind of like the Rams avenging last year's not winning. So it was a good game. It was back and forth. Boise was battling with the Rams the whole game. CSU was up 21-9 in the first set, and then Boise went on a 10-2 run to come back, and CSU ended up winning that one 25-22, which was good. And then in the second set, CSU jumped out to a big lead again, and they closed that one out. And the third one, the Rams and Boise were back and forth. There was 12 lead changes and 7 ties. So
that's crazy.
It was a back and forth game.
And did they get the confetti at the end?
There was no confetti at the end, unfortunately.
Come on.
It's disappointing.
I couldn't even believe it. I mean, I think that's sort of the team's morale is just stay focused and to stay poised, and they still have 5 games on the schedule, so I think they're going to stay focused and try to win the rest of them.
So, speaking of going into the rest of the season, what do you think the Rams need to work on, and what are your predictions for them postseason?
Well, this is a group of seniors who went to the NCAAs their freshman year, and they reached the Sweet 16. They beat CU in the round of 32. So
we like those CU wins.
We do. We'll take them when we can get them.
Definitely. But I think the Rams are definitely just going to have to limit their errors, so service hitting errors. If they limit that, And then if they play well in the long rallies, because I think sometimes it just surprises them, and other teams, they return some of the crazy serves and hits that we have, and they sort of just get down and we lose the long points to the good team. So if they can just do that, stay controlled on offense and limit the errors that they have, then I think they'll be good.
How far do you think we can go in the tournament this year, both of you?
I'm going Sweet 16 again.
Sweet 16, I like it.
I'm right there with you.
I think we definitely got to reach the Sweet 16 again. When you look at the top teams in the country, it's hard to say CSU isn't one of them. You know, we're in the Mountain West, but we have a strong team here, and we're always one of the best in the country. So look forward to us to go deep in the tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you guys for joining us, and also we'll be hearing from them throughout the end of the season, reporting some volleyball for us. Well, that's all the time that we have, but stay tuned because up next, Tim and Friends gives us the lowdown on sports around the nation.
Okay, so we drowned the fire, stirred it, drowned it again, and now just feel if it's cold.
Yeah.
Cool.
Smokey just gave me a bear hug.
I know. I already posted it.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
You are listening to 90.5 KCSU Fort Collins with DJ Meanbeat,
DJ Nightshade,
DJ Wildcard. Music to me is
one of the best creative outlets that I can think of.
An escape from the real world.
Music to me is an expression of love.
To go from like folk to hip hop to like classic rock, 1960s bossa nova. With music, there's like no boundaries.
I work here because I love music, and you do too.
Listen, I realize that I'm not perfect, but it all really started to change because you judge me for having a problem. No one is going to know that I need help. I need help. I know that no one is going to judge me for having a problem. I realize that I'm not perfect, but it all really started to change because you listen.
Well, Thomas, you've got prediabetes. But with more exercise and a change in diet, it can be reversed.
I've tried exercising. It just makes me hungry for bacon.
I love bacon, too. And who really likes to exercise?
Not me.
Me neither.
Nobody. So we're good?
What? Oh, you still have prediabetes. Big time.
They told me a bottle couldn't dream. That I would never become a superhero. But I learned how to fly. Just to come back in a new disguise. And be the hero that I've always wanted to be.
Look at you. You're at the top of your game. You're unstoppable. Nothing can throw you off track. Wait, is that your car? Uh-oh. Yeah, I saw that coming. That will throw you off track. You're looking at around 10 grand in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Let's try this again. Smart move. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Good evening, and thank you for tuning in to the Foco Sports Show. I am your host, Tim McCall, and we're going to go ahead and go through a couple of the big sports stories here in Fort Collins. I'm joined by a couple members of the Rocky Mountain Student Media. You guys want to go ahead and introduce yourselves?
I'm Nick Baker from KCSU.
I'm Eddie Harris of the Rocky Mountain Collegian.
And I'm Javon Harris from the Rocky Mountain Collegian as well.
So, guys, we're going to start off talking football. CSU had a tough matchup this week, and we just saw it was quite a blizzard. We traveled up to Wyoming, got to see the Rams take on the Cowboys in a blizzard, and got to see one of the best quarterbacks in the country in Josh Allen up in Wyoming. The Rams wound up losing that game 16-13. What do you guys think it means going forward for the CSU Rams?
Well, first and foremost, the defense got complacent, and they've done this the whole season, and they started off really good, and then they saw the offense fizzle out and fizzle out and fizzle out, and it kind of encouraged them to go back to their complacency. They went right back to it and just let Josh Allen shred when it mattered most. And when that happens, there's not much you can really do. And the tackling is what bothered me the most. There was just no desire to tackle. They were, throwing their shoulder at people. They were, arm tackling people if they got their arms out even. And it was just incredibly disappointing from all standpoints. They're just content with what they're doing, and they're not drive to do anything.
Now, for those viewers who are just joining us, just saw our buddy Brian running. He is a very hot commodity. His time's really hard to come by. He's really busy with a bunch of different media things. So we were able to get him on. He just came on a second too late. So thank you so much for joining us, Brian. We're in the midst of talking about CSU football and what this loss last week means going forward for the team.
Well, honestly, I think you start selling stock in CSU football the second the clock hit zeros last night. As a matter of fact, the second the fourth quarter started, this team doesn't have any fight in them. They don't have any drive. All the common pieces you see in a football team that's capable of winning football games that they shouldn't or are close aren't there. They haven't been there all season, and we're starting to see more and more of it. It's manifesting itself. It's almost like a disease. You start to see the defense not play well, so the offense doesn't follow them. Or the offense isn't quite playing well, so the defense starts to linger. Instead of one side picking up the other, they're both kind of collapsing.
And then when you have a special teams mishap where you're dropping a snap, not even getting a kickoff, it just really brings down the morale of those other two units. Now, Eddie, you wanted to add something there. I didn't mean to cut you off earlier.
Oh, absolutely, no problem. I was going to say, agreeing with you, the Mountain West is said and done in terms of CSU. It's between Boise State and Wyoming. I'm not one to make excuses for CSU. A loss is a loss, obviously. But going in, I think CSU looked way better than Wyoming did on paper. And like I said, I'm not here to make excuses. But the adverse weather conditions, the rain, the snow, you guys were there, obviously kind of favors an underdog in games like that. Because with weather that poorly, no team is going to be able to move the ball, meaning it's naturally going to be a closer game. It was already supposed to be pretty close. It's a rivalry. CSU's bread and butter is moving the ball through the air. And they're not able to do that in weather like that. Nick Stevens only attempted 14 passes. That's the lowest of the season. Michael Gallup, 29 receiving yards, second lowest of his career. The weather made it so CSU couldn't really move the ball in the air, and that's just bad timing for them. They needed a bounce-back win. I think without that weather, they were in a good spot to do that, but they couldn't really pass the ball. Daniel Dawkins looked great. He did. He's rushed for 100-plus yards already 5 times this season. He only did that 5 times last year. He's averaged 5-plus yards per carry over his last 8 games. He looks great, but this team also needs to move the ball through the air. That snow kind of inhibited that from happening.
I'd have to add something there to you. Do you think what I've been seeing, what I've seen on the game was, I don't think Mike Bubble has any faith in Nick Stevens. Granted, absolutely. There was snow, but let's reverse the roles. Let's put Josh Allen on CSU. You think that Mike Bubble is going to let him throw the ball, regardless of of the weather?
Yeah,
I think so too. I just think that we're starting to see his faith in Nick Stevens just go down the drain as these games.
And I think it's disappointing because you have to have faith in your quarterback.
Exactly.
They thrive when Stevens does well, and we didn't even give him an opportunity to do well last week.
They run the ball on a fourth and 6.
Fourth and 6.
Come on.
There wasn't faith in anybody in this game either. Michael Gallup had 0 targets in the fourth quarter, or in the second half actually. 4 passing attempts in general in the second half.
Once it started snowing, they CSU that is, completely gave up on the passing game.
Bobo said after the game, he said, the weather just didn't really allow us to do it. He said, we had some looks with Gallup that we were trying to get to. I really didn't see that. Exactly. Gallup was on the field for maybe 15 snaps in the second half. You have to understand that Michael Gallup is your playmaker.
Exactly.
He is the guy who could go in the first round of the NFL draft. He is the guy who got 263 passing yards, had 3 touchdowns.
He is a guy who, even on the field with Josh Allen, may still be the best NFL prospect on the field.
You have to figure out how to get him the ball. If you have to hand him the ball in the backfield or run some sort of flare route or bubble screen or something really silly, just get him the ball once at least.
He wasn't
Have
even
him
on
try
the
to do
field is
something.
one of the bigger issues.
Yeah.
Looking at it, he was on the maybe half of the offensive plays when it was one receiver out. It was BC or Clark, and it's for a blocking receiver. If you're going to have one out there, why not one that draws the safety help?
And we can all agree they would have thrown more if it wasn't snowing, but it's not like the snowflakes are knocking the ball out of the air. You can't completely abandon your game plan because it's snowing.
Stevens was throwing it well when it started snowing anyway.
Right.
In the rain, he was throwing pretty well.
Exactly.
Now, we were alluding to the fact that Nick Stevens was unable to throw the ball in the weather. That was not the case for the other quarterback, Josh Allen, a guy who I've been following for quite a couple months now. He's one of the top prospects in the, heading into the 2018 NFL Draft. And it was a really cool experience for those of us who got to go cover him. This is a guy who's going to be in the national spotlight come March and August leading up to the draft. And here we are getting to scout him. What did you guys take away from getting to see him up close and personal?
Well, his game-winning drive only took Wyoming 2 minutes 48 in that poor weather when neither team can move the ball well. That's impressive right there. That shows his NFL potential. He rushed for 11 yards that drive, completed a huge 17-yard pass.
Yeah,
Moved the ball
the whole drive started with that huge 17-yard completion, which I thought, in the middle of a driving blizzard, an NFL prospect needs to make that play, and Josh Allen made the play.
You can barely stay on your feet with that weather, and he's able to lead them 60-plus yards in less than 3 minutes. I mean, that's incredible.
No, I think when you have the NFL scouts really get into him in the combine, you're going to find evidence of really large NFL-sized hands. He was able to grip that football, wasn't turning the ball over. Nick Stevens, on the other hand, a little bit smaller hands. I don't think he was able to grip the football, and ultimately that's why Mike Bobo stayed away from the passing game in the second half.
And he was breaking tackles, too. Granted, they weren't great tackles from CSU, but they were from, CSU D linemen, which are about the size of bigger NFL backers, maybe some speed rushers in the NFL. And watching how, it took 3-4 of them to bring him down. If 1 or 2 of them got there, he was shaking him off. He was running for a gain. Well, that's huge for me.
You're mentioning defensive players who are the size of speed rushers in the NFL. Yeah. That's Josh Allen. He's not playing defense, but with that 6'5", 240-pound frame, you're darn right it's going to be hard to bring him down.
He knows how to use it, and that would be important to me as a scout.
Later on in that game-winning drive you alluded to, the Wyoming Cowboys were met with a 3rd and 3. They ran a quarterback keeper right up the middle, and there was no stopping Josh Allen. You needed 3, he got 6.
And that's huge, knowing that he can do that. Tom Brady's one of the best in the league at getting that 1-2 yards on that sneak, and if he can get 3-2, that is a huge aspect of the game that a lot of quarterbacks can't do.
He's providing such a unique skill set. One that when the year started, I saw, okay, he's a 6'5", 240 guy. He throws the football a long way, and he's capable of, breaking a couple tackles. He's like Andrew Luck, maybe. Like Andrew Luck meets Ben Roethlisberger kind of a thing. It's more than that, though. He makes decisions based on the run. You can almost run read option with him because he's so big, he's so mobile. He's not, what did you say, he's a 4'6", 40?
4.60 40-yard dash for Josh Allen.
Very quick. I mean,
to put that into perspective for you real quick, Cam Newton ran a 4.59 at his combine. So he is very, very fast as far as quarterback prospects
go. It's like
Andrew
Luck's mind in Cam Newton's body.
Yeah.
Which is the perfect athlete.
Yeah.
A smart, very capable guy.
And it's bigger. Arguably, you're looking at Cam Newton, you're saying, all right, he's a big guy, he's capable of running. Josh Allen has a better arm than Cam Newton does. He has better mechanics. He has better focus on the game. Nick, you and I talk all the time about how Cam Newton's mechanics are terrible and they never improve. Josh Allen doesn't have the most crisp mechanics right now. I didn't see him run a lot under center. I didn't see a lot of 3, 5, 7-step drops, anything like that. But so far, his foot placement and everything is manageable. A couple of throws I saw him make, he had one overthrow and it was that flick pass early in the first quarter. He left his left foot out just a little bit and almost like flick of the wrist, like just basic pass. Like I expected the ball to go maybe 10, 15 yards. 35-yard bomb downfield. On a line, overthrows his guy by 5 yards with a left foot that's way out, which is one of the things that's easily going to hamper the ability to throw the ball hard over a long distance. He overthrows the guy. He doesn't have a full arm motion closing. All of these are very, very fixable mistakes once you get a guy on him.
And even with all those mistakes, he still looks good.
Yeah. Exactly.
Now, I could sit here and I could gush about Josh Allen all day, but we only have a couple minutes left. We want to talk CSU basketball. Like I said, we just have a couple minutes left, so let me just get one statement. CSU basketball starts on Friday. They got Sacramento State coming to Fort Collins. How do you guys think the season's going to shake up?
They kind of run, they don't have that star power anymore like they used to, and that makes me really excited because, when it was, we need Gian to win the game for us. It's in Gion's hands. Now it's we need someone to win the game for us. Whoever gets the ball in their hands are likely capable to do it.
With that being said, though, it's still Prentice and JD's team right now. I mean, you have Prentice, JD, and Nico are the three-headed monster of this team. Other than that, you don't have a lot of experience, and you need someone to step up. And someone I like who has impressed me in the exhibition games is Che Bob. Scored 28 and 13 the first game, then 25 and 9. And he's a little off the radar because obviously it's Prentice and JD's team. But if you followed CSU basketball last year, that shouldn't surprise you. In the 14 games he did play, he averaged 9.7 a game, 6 boards. Kid has a lot of potential. He should start. He can drive. He can shoot from outside. I also like what I've seen from Raquan Mitchell, 6 for 9 from the field in those 2 games, 18 points. He really did. They don't have a lot of maturity and experience, but after losing Gian and Amagbo and a ton of key transfers, everyone will have a chance to contribute. So we're going to see who can get it done.
You said a word there that I think is the entire season in a nutshell: rebounds. We have two guys right now. Che Bob, like you said, rebounds. He's got averaging 11 so far in the 2 exhibition games, and Nico, who had 16 in both of them. Crazy. But nobody else on the team has really stepped up and said, I'm another rebounding guy who's going to be a big piece. Last year, one of the most underrated pieces about Gian Clavel's ability to play basketball was his ability to rebound as a guard.
Absolutely, double-doubles with rebounding.
Exactly. We're going to need to see rebounding from somebody on this team, and that's kind of that leads into my second piece about the team. We're going to need to see somebody step up off the bench, because right now, like you said, Prentice and JD, it's their team. But both of these guys, we know what they're capable of, and I think we can honestly say right now, unless something crazy happens, that Prentice isn't necessarily the star power to win you basketball games. He's going to do great things like draw charges and make clutch shots and be a great decision maker at the point guard position, but he's no James Harden or anything like that.
But they will give him the ball.
Javon, we just have another few minutes. I just want to get your word in here before we go any further.
I think everybody's going to be surprised this year. I think they can be as good as they want to be as long as the 4 key players play consistent enough. Che Bob, he had 25, then he had 28 or 20, he had 20 plus games. If we get that every game from him, if we can get JD had 18 points on 4 of 6 shooting. That's insane. If he shoots the ball more, who knows how much he can have. Prentice, he struggled last night, but he'll find his groove. I just think if they just stay consistent, they'll surprise a lot of teams. One area that they're going to be hurt in is like Anthony Bonner. He played 29 minutes last game. He had 2 points and an assist. That's not good enough for you to be on the floor for that long and not contribute. We're going to see Lorenzo Jenkins on Friday this year. For the first time in 2 years. Hopefully he'd bring something to the table. Dion has to play better. Quan has been playing better. I think he'll be good. So we'll see. It just depends on how good they actually want to be.
The bench is going to be key.
Yeah, that's going to be really key. But if they're consistent enough in the starters, then that'll be good. And Gene played over 36 minutes a game last year. If JD Page and Prentice Nixon can do that, we'll be fine.
Nico, JD, and Prentice, are obviously going to be in for 35 plus minutes each game. I think Che Bob is literally the #1 X factor of this team, considering besides Nico, Shea is really their only capable forward. Zoe Tyson's out the whole year.
All right, guys, I hate to cut us off. We're running right up to where we're about to end. That's all we have for the Foco Sports Show tonight. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
Dion,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I feel you.